Well, welcome again to the Mesa City Council meeting for August the 19th. All of our council is present tonight. We will begin our meeting with an invocation that will be offered by Deborah Ray Langus with the Mesa Baha'i Spiritual Assembly, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We're lucky to have a couple of scouts with us tonight. We're going to have Corbin Tobler from Troop 339 lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand and remain standing for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
O my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor, and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily thou art their helper and their Lord.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you very much. The first item on our agenda today are awards and recognitions, and I'm excited that we have one great award that we'd like to highlight. We are very lucky in the city of Mesa to have a great city clerk, and that is Deanne Mickelson, and we're very proud of the fact that she has been named this year as the Clerk of the Year by the State Association of City Clerks. Just a little bit for those of you, I think everyone's familiar with seeing Deanne, but at the risk of embarrassing her, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about her that you might not know. Deanne has worked in municipal government for over 21 years and has been the Mesa City Clerk for the last 6 years. Since become mayor, I've had the privilege of meeting regularly with Deanne and working closely with her on a wide range of issues, and I really hold her in high regard, and she's very much deserving of this award. I know that's the same is true of everyone on the council. They can tell you that she really is one of our favorite co-workers, so we're very honored and excited for her. She's very professional. Deanne consistently displays a great sense of character and integrity that has earned her the wide respect of not just the council members, but everyone inside and outside of this organization. Being a city clerk is a very difficult job. You have to interface not just with high maintenance elected officials, but also with some very passionate advocates out in the community and answer a wide variety of questions on a moment's notice. So Deanne somehow manages to do that in a flawless way. So Deanne, we want you to know we're very proud of you. And if you don't mind, I don't know, would you please share us with a few thoughts on being named the City Clerk of the Year?
Well, it was quite a surprise because I walked into our conference and the mayor and the city manager were there, and it was completely unexpected, but it was a great honor to be nominated by a fellow clerk and to have the support of a board of other clerks around the state. So it was a huge honor, but it was nothing I could have accomplished without the support of the current council. You all have always been very supportive of furthering education within the clerk's office, including myself, and I really appreciate that. Also my staff, who some reason they found out about this and they're in the audience. They're a pretty fantastic group of women who are great support, and I couldn't do this job without their assistance.
Well, I will agree with you. You do have a great staff in the city clerk's office. It's very much a team effort, and but you're the leader of that team, and you make it work. So we're very proud of you. I'd like to invite the council to join me out at the podium, and we'll present Deanne with a token of our appreciation and take a photograph. Smile at the photographer. Okay. Squeeze in a little bit. Thank you. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda, but before I invite Mr. Christopher up to read the consent agenda, there is one item that's on that agenda that we'd like to just make sure that everyone is very aware of, because it's something that we're very proud of. I think everyone recalls that a few years ago we had a debate in this community about what we ought to do to preserve spring training. And we were confronted with a situation where the Chicago Cubs were at risk of leaving our city. And I'm proud of the way that our city, that our mayor, Scott Smith, and the council at the time, and our city manager responded to that situation. And there was a great campaign that went on, and the city made some commitments to the voters and to the taxpayers of the city as to how we could go about the very tall task of creating the world's best spring training facility and preserving a real asset in our community, the Chicago Cubs, and do it in a fiscally responsible way that the voters would embrace. And this is, I'm so excited that tonight we're going to celebrate the successful conclusion of that campaign, in that we will be paying off, voting tonight to pay off 12 years early, and at a savings of over $22 million, the bonds that were issued for the construction of the Chicago Cubs spring training facility and the wonderful renovations to Hohokam Park for the Oakland A's. Again, I'm thrilled that we have members of the council and mayor that came up with this wonderful proposal along with Mr. Brady. And it really is something very noteworthy for a city to own free and clear a stadium, let alone 2 stadiums, and do that ahead of schedule and in a way that saves a tremendous amount of taxpayer money is something that we really need to celebrate. So, Mr. Brady, I know you were very involved in this. Could you please, I'd like to invite you to come to the podium, share your thoughts on this, and just remind us what we need to know. And also, again, we're honored that we've...
Can I invite my colleagues that were here? Can I get the council
Please.
members that were here? Come on, join me down here. This was definitely a team effort, because this is the council and the mayor that within 6 months of them starting their term, we said, hey, oh, by the way, you're going to have the worst recession that we've seen in 30 years. And if that's not bad enough, the Chicago Cubs are going to Florida. So that's how we started out our relationship. So it took a tremendous effort by this city council to have the political courage to face all of those together, and in the worst of times, come up with a plan to meet the needs of the Chicago Cubs, because we realized the history of the Cubs is the history of Mesa, and we needed to keep them here. So we looked at a lot of different options. We thought it was a great idea to have a surcharge on all the other spring training facilities to help pay for the Cubs, because we know that they benefit a lot from the Cubs, but they didn't think that was such a good idea. So we were left with the city of Mesa while we're cutting budgets to come up with a way to fund this. And I'll let Mayor Smith speak to this, but the idea that we recognized that many years ago in the mid-'80s, the city had purchased over 11,000 acres of Pinal County farmland. During that time, we held on to it with the idea that we could use it for water rights. That never happened. There were things that prohibited the city from doing that. So what we had, what we call an unproductive city asset. Now, Mr. Freeman would maybe disagree. When he sees farmland, he sees gold and investments, and we weren't quite that savvy, but we saw that as an opportunity, that land asset, that unproductive asset, could become and converted to a productive asset for the city of Mesa. We could convert the value of that land, which was purchased at about $2,500 an acre. If we could convert that to land that we could use to build out and support the spring training facilities, which we know every year produces millions of dollars for the city. There's an estimate out there that says the general economy of Mesa benefits by about $130 million. And so this was a big task, and we went to the voters, and I think this is what's remarkable. This council politically took the step to put it on the ballot to go forward. And I don't know if there's ever going to be an initiative where we're going to get more than 63% support from the residents of Mesa. That was pretty remarkable. And credit to the city council for being out there, the point of the spear, to talk about this and the benefits of keeping the Cubs in Mesa, and they did. And so with that, and with then the plan to be able to sell off the Pinal County land over a period of time, and that was the risk, right? We knew that we had a contract to sell it, but it wasn't going to be a full takedown initially. It was going to happen over a period of time, but we needed to build a stadium right then, which we did, with the idea that we would take the proceeds from the sale of the land over the next 5 or 6 years to pay this off. So there's a lot of risk there. But with the help of our financial advisors who are here tonight, we actually structured the debt that allowed us to pay it off early, with the hope that we would be able to keep the contract in place to pay it off. So has it paid off? Well, we think so. We built the stadium, and because we built the stadium, Sloan Park as it is, we fully believe that's why the Cubs won the World Series 2 years later. So we take credit for that, as well as the fact that this stadium stands high above any other stadium as far as attendance, right? And many of you were there last year for the highest attended spring training game ever in Major League Baseball with the Boston Red Sox, over 16,000 people. That stadium also owns the 5 largest crowds in Major League Baseball for spring training. So we know it is the gem, it is what everybody admires, and it's continued to bring back millions of dollars to the city of Mesa. So the good news is we're here today, as you said, Mayor, that this plan we put in place, we talked about in 2009, I guess, 2008, 2009, and putting all that in place, identifying a way to pay this off, going to the voters, building the facilities, and delivering those, and now being able to pay them off early because we were able to we get all the final payment for the Pinal County land. We appreciate the buyer of the land. He stuck to his schedule. There was a few difficult points, and I want to thank the staff who helped with that because that was a lot of work to keep that project going with Natalie Lewis and our city attorney and our real estate department. This takes a lot of effort, but again, this has started in 2009. We're 10 years later. We've built the stadium, and we're going to pay it off. And we are going to save $20 million. So that's my story. It's one of the great stories for the city of Mesa. So I know he's going to say I took all his wind, but I'm going to let Scott Smith speak now, if that's okay.
Thank you, Chris. And Mayor, members of the council, a little weird being on this side of the dais, but actually I live on this side of the dais now. This is a great event. As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, Chris and I ran into each other. I think it was at a manager's meeting or something, East Valley managers, and he came and he says, "Hey, we're paying off the bonds." I go, "Hey, that's great." I walked away. And what was about 5 minutes later, I go, "Man, that's a big deal." He says, "Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It is." And I'm just gonna modify a little bit his recollection, just a little bit, because my council mates here, 2010 was a rough time. 2009 was even rougher. And when the Cubs came to us and said that they were moving to Naples, we didn't have a whole lot of options, but we did have one thing. We had a desire to do something big, and we had the commitment to be straightforward and honest with our voters. And that meant that we had to look at what we had. And after the rest of the Cactus League basically told us to go jump in as far as our one plan, we looked to the assets that we had. And we treated capital assets as things that would benefit the community, and so we did. And even though, yes, Mark, those farms were great, the city was literally breaking even. We charged just enough to pay the property taxes on it. And in 2010, when this council decided to make that deal, we did not have a buyer for that land. So we put our faith in two things when we committed to enter into this agreement. The first thing we put our faith in was the marketplace. And we had structured a deal that we said would allow us to sell off the land, 11,000 acres, over 20 years in a structured, what was the term? We used a structured, a structured sale. So we weren't going to fire sell this. It was a public asset. The buyer came 3 years later. But the second thing that I'd like to point out is that we also had to trust our successors. We had to trust you. because we made a commitment that would far outlive our council. And we understand that when money's coming in, it's very easy to redirect, to not stick to the plan. And so I'd like to give our staff and you thanks on behalf of all of us for sticking with the plan. That's why we're here tonight, because you saw the commitment. Once we had a buyer in 2013 that was going to buy the whole 11,000 acres, we then had to structure a deal that would protect the city, because they took this down in stages, and we didn't want to be left with a whole bunch of what we call dredge property and not paying off. So the staff did a great job. Legal department did a great job, and Natalie worked, and Mike Kennington and all the others to structure something. But I'd like to thank you for making this happen, because you could have gone other ways, and you did not. You trusted the plan, the program, and this is a big deal for a city to take this kind of commitment and to then work it through and to have something to show that's very positive for the taxpayers, where we now have 2 assets that do reap great rewards. One other thing is that we also structured agreements with our spring training that are now the model. The Goldwater Institute came in and very carefully looked at our agreements. They had just won at City North, and they were looking for a reason to deny us, and we structured a deal with the Cubs where they accept, and the A's accept, a large portion of responsibilities that once again protects our taxpayers and passed muster with even those who were not willingly or positively looking at that. So thank you very much for taking this through. And I'd like to just tell you that I, like Mayor Giles, I know you feel lucky. I hate to tell you that it's sort of like your grandkids. I tell everyone they have the second best looking grandkids in the world, after my own, of course. Mayor Giles, you have the second best council. I was very, very fortunate to work with these gentlemen and a couple, 3 that aren't here. Dina Higgins, Scott Summers at the time, Alex Fenter. Chris wasn't on the phone, but came on later when we finalized the deal, and Kyle was on the council when we actually entered the deal. And so as great as you guys are, to me, you are the second best looking council there is. I was very, very fortunate to have these gentlemen and Dina to work with. So thank you very much, and congratulations to Chris. Wonderful leadership from the staff to put this together and then to make it happen. Anyone else want to say anything?
No, Mayor, I think we want to invite our representatives from our 2 teams here. Obviously, this can't be a great success unless we have great partners. So I think we just want to recognize them, and I think maybe one of them.
Yes, the information I have, the other partnership we are celebrating here is the partnership with the teams, as Mayor Smith indicated. They are an integral part of this and are great financial partners. I think we have John Knight from the Chicago Cubs here, and along with Joe Punn and Zach Bosch from the Oakland Athletics. Gentlemen, if you're here, we'd certainly invite you to come up and join us in a photograph. And I think, Mr. Knight, if you're on behalf of the Cubs, if you can share a few thoughts with us, we appreciate that as well.
Yes, sir. Because we would just like to present the City of Mesa with this plaque as a small appreciation for our relationship. If you guys have a minute, I'd like to just quote Crane Kenny, our President of Business Operations.
Mr. Knight, if you could maybe address the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
First time, sorry. Mr. Kenny states, we are incredibly proud of our partnership with the City of Mesa and appreciate the support in the development of Sloan Park and Wrigleyville West and Riverview. The public-private partnership not only created the finest and most popular spring training facility in Major League Baseball, it created jobs, increased tourism, helped local businesses, and supported the community. So, and on a personal note, I'd just like to say that having been involved in this project as a City of Mesa employee and a Chicago Cubs employee, the experience has been one of the most rewarding in my career. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Look forward to continued.
Council, please join me down, and we'll take a photograph and have a big celebration.
Big picture here. Okay, now we actually found the invoice for the final invoice for this.
You did, amazing.
And so,
That's very good.
Mayor,
So
I think,
this
Mayor,
is kind of like a ribbon cutting. Here's the dramatic moment. I've been told that we can do this. Again, we're paying this off 12 years early, so wrong. Now we're doing this in 2019, and the mortgage is paid in full. Congratulations, everyone.
maybe I have to stand outside. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Appreciate it.
Mayor?
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mayor. Good to see you very much. So much. Joe, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks, Mayor. Nice job.
Oh, you got it, Randy? All right, thank you, buddy. Thanks. Kyle, thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. So again, just for those who are following the agenda, all of that was related to agenda item 6I, which is on our consent agenda. We invite Mr. Kevin Christopher forward to read the agenda.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. These are the items on the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk will be considered as a group by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless a council member or citizen requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. If a citizen wants an item removed, a blue card must be completed and given to the city clerk prior to the council's vote on the consent agenda. Item 2, approval of minutes of previous meetings as written. Item 3A, act on liquor license application for Down and Dirty one-day event, August 24th, 922 South Country Club Drive. Item 3B, act on liquor license application for Music Foundation of Arizona, one-day event, September 21st at Riverview Park, 2100 West Rio Salado Parkway. Item 3C, act on liquor license application for Square One Incorporated, one-day event, September 5th, 922 South Country Club Drive. Item 3D, act on liquor license application for Fat Cats Entertainment Center, 5846 East Longbow Parkway. Item 3E, act on liquor license application for Ojos Locos Sports Cantina, 1656 South Alma School Road. Item 3F, act on liquor license application for Pizza Hut, 1140 South Country Club Drive. Item 3G, act on liquor license application for Pizza Hut, 2639 East Broadway Road. Item 3H, act on liquor license application for Pizza Hut, 9053 East Baseline Road. Item 3I, act on liquor license application for Real Deal Smoke Shop, 835 East Southern Avenue. Item 3J, act on liquor license application for Wingstop, 1754 South Greenfield Road. Item 4A, act on bingo application for Snowbird Bingo, 3020 East Main Street. Item 5A, act on one-year renewal of the term contract for Special Events Management Services for the Public Information and Communications Department. Item 5B, act on one-year renewal of the term contract for rigging and overhire stagehand services for the Mesa Arts Center as requested by the Arts and Culture Department. Item 5C, act on 3-year term contract with 2 years of renewal options for safety shoes for various city departments as requested by the Human Resources Department. Item 5D, act on one-year renewal of the term contract for escrow and title services of real property for the Engineering Department. Item 5E, act on dollar limit increase to the term contract for MRO supplies for citywide use. Item 5F, act on one-year renewal with a one-year renewal option to the term contract for uniform garments for citywide use as requested by the Business Services Department. Item 5G, act on 3-year term contract with 2 years of renewal options for commercial printing for the Business Services Department. Item 5H, act on 3-year renewal with a 3-year renewal option to the term contract for credit score, identity fraud protection, and skip tracing services for the Business Services Department. Item 5I, act on 3-year term contract and 2 years of renewal options for the purchase of a centralized inventory system replacement upgrade for the Police Department. Item 5J, act on contract to re-award the 1-year term contract with 2 years of renewal options for bomb suit and helmet ensembles for the Police Department. The initial purchase is funded by the Arizona Department of Homeland Security. Item 5K, act on contract to purchase 4 additional mobile two-way radios, accessories, and related equipment for the Mesa Fire and Medical Department. Item 5L, act on 1-year renewal of the term contract for fire protective clothing for the Mesa Fire and Medical Department. Item 5M, act on one-year renewal of the term contract for heavy-duty appliances for the Mesa Fire and Medical Department. Item 5N, act on contract to purchase one replacement fire apparatus for the Mesa Fire and Medical Department. This purchase is funded by 2018 public safety bonds. Item 5O, act on contract to ratify the emergency purchase for repair service to a ladder apparatus for the Mesa Fire and Medical Department. Item 5P, act on contract to purchase an additional trailer for the Transportation Department as requested by the Fleet Services Department. Item 5Q, act on 3-year term contract with 2 years of renewal options for hydraulic hose and fittings for the Fleet Services Department. Item 5R, act on contract to purchase a replacement heavy haul truck for the Transportation Department as requested by the Fleet Services Department. Item 5S, act on 1-year renewal and 1-year renewal option to the term contract for landscape maintenance services, aquatic facilities for the Parks, Recreation, and Community Facilities Department. Item 5T, act on dollar limit increase to the term contract for contractor building maintenance services with 2 years of renewal options as requested by the Parks, Recreation, and Community Facilities Department. Item 5U, act on dollar limit increase to the term contract for custodial services for the Parks, Recreation, and Community Facilities Department. Item 5V, act on 3-year term contract with 2 years of renewal options for natural gas service excess flow valves for the Materials and Supply Warehouse for the Energy Resources Department. Item 5W, act on 1-year renewal of the term contract for pad-mounted switchgear for the Materials and Supply Warehouse for the Energy Resources Department. Item 5X, act on dollar limit increase to the term contract for traffic signpost for the Materials and Supply Warehouse for the Transportation Department. Item 5Y, act on 1-year renewal of the term contract for welding services for the Transportation Department. Item 5Z, act on 1-year renewal with a 1-year renewal option to the term contract for gradation, glass beads, traffic paint marking materials for the Materials and Supply Warehouse for the Transportation Department. Item 5AA, act on 1-year renewal with a 1-year renewal option to the term contract for GEA Westphalia centrifuge parts and services for the Water Resources Department. Item 6A, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Drug Enforcement Administration to assign 2 Mesa police officers to the DEA Phoenix Task Force and to receive reimbursement from the DEA for the officers' overtime. Item 6B, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a grant agreement with the city of Tucson to accept grant funds under the high-intensity drug trafficking area program to be used for overtime for the police department's violent offender unit. Item 6C, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a project agreement with the Maricopa Association of Governments for reimbursement of arterial life cycle program funds for the Signal Butte Williamsfield to Germain Roads project. Item 6D, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a grant agreement with the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission to accept grant funds that will be used for training and equipment for the police department's Forensic Services Division. Item 6E, act on resolution approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into the second extension to the First Amendment and restated intergovernmental agreement with Mesa Unified School District Number 4 and the Maricopa County Community College District for shared use of information technology and other related services. This is the second of 2 5-year extension options. Item 6F, act on a resolution authorizing the city manager to share data and collaborate with the East Valley jurisdictions to explore and develop regional solutions to homelessness. Item 6G, act on resolution extinguishing a 3-foot public utility easement located at 2958 North Kashmir Circle on the north side to allow for construction of an addition to the residence. This was requested by the property owner. Item 6H, act on resolution extinguishing a public utility easement located at 1034 West Peralta Avenue to allow for construction of a shed. This was requested by the property owner. Item 6I, act on resolution authorizing the defeasance and redemption of all or a portion of the city's excise tax revenue obligations, Series 23, and to accomplish the defeasance, authorizing the transfer of certain city funds to an irrevocable trust account and authorizing the city entering into an escrow trust agreement. Item 7A, act on resolution declaring the document filed with the city clerk entitled City of Mesa Personnel Rules effective September 25th, 2019 to be a public record and providing availability of the documents for public use and inspection. Item 7B, introduction of ordinance repealing the existing personnel rules applicable to the City of Mesa employees and adopting new personnel rules. Item 8A, introduction of ordinance amending Title 8, Chapter 6, Sections 1 through 4, 9, and 13 of the Mesa City Code pertaining to public nuisances, property maintenance, and neighborhood preservation. Item 8B, introduction of ordinance amending Section 10-4-5 of the Mesa City Code to establish a speed limit of 35 miles per hour on Meridian Road from the north city limits to Mesquite Street as recommended by the Transportation Advisory Board. Item 8C, introduction of ordinance regarding ZON 18-00066, the 1,000 through 1,100 blocks of South Alma School Road, and the 1,200 through 1,300 blocks of West Southern Avenue, located at the northwest corner of Alma School and Southern. Rezone and site plan review to allow for development of multi-residential and commercial uses. Item 9A, introduction of ordinance regarding ANX 18-00031, annexing property located south of Williamsfield Road and west of Signal Butte Road. Item 9B, introduction of ordinance regarding ZON 19-00436. This is for property located on the north side of the future State Route 24 freeway alignment from Ellsworth Road to approximately 1/4 mile east of the Crisman Road alignment. Major amendment to the Cadence Community Plan. This request to remove Development Unit 5 from the plan. Item 9C, introduction of ordinance regarding ZON 18-00951, the 6,000 through 6,400 blocks of the South Crisman Road alignment east side, the 10,000 to 10,600 blocks of East Williamsfield Road south side, and the 6,000 through 6,400 blocks of South 22nd Street on the west side, located south of Williamsfield Road and west of Signal Butte Road, rezoned to establish the Avalon Crossing Community Plan. Item 10A, act on ordinance regarding ZON 18-00891, 535 West Baseline Road, located west of Country Club Drive on the south side of Baseline Road. This is a rezone to allow for development of an industrial use. Item 11A, act on subdivision plat, Broadway and 32nd townhomes within the 3100 block of East Broadway South Side and within the 400 block of South 32nd Street West Side, located east of Lindsay Road and the south side of Broadway Road. Item 11B, act on subdivision plat, Southern and Stapley townhomes within the 1100 block of South Stapley Drive, located east of Stapley Drive and north of Southern Avenue. Item 11C, act on subdivision plat, Springs at Red Mountain within the 2600 block of North Power Road, located south of McDowell Road on the east side of Power Road. And item 11D, act on subdivision plat, Gallery Park Phase 1-A within the 4,900 to 5,200 blocks of South Power Road and within the 6,800 through 6,900 blocks of East Ray Road. This is located south of the 202 Santan Freeway on the east side of Power Road and north of Ray Road. Mayor and council members, these are the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Christopher. City Clerk of the Year Mickelson, have we received any requests to speak on an item on the consent agenda?
Only the one I gave you for 8A.
Thank you. And I do have a card on item 8A. However, Ms. Carol Perkinson, who filled out the card, has indicated she does not wish to speak on the item, so it'll continue on the consent agenda. But for the record, we'll note that she does oppose item 8A, has concerns regarding the pigeon regulations, and refers us to the email that she sent us previously. So we have a motion by Mr. Freeman, seconded by Mr. Heredia. Please cast your vote. The vote is unanimous in favor of the consent agenda. The next item on our agenda is item 12. It's an annexation hearing and the introduction of two ordinances. Councilmember Freeman has a conflict on these items, so he will not be voting. We'll begin with the annexation hearing. So that's item 12A. This is the public hearing prior to the release of the petition for annexation case 18-00229 for approximately 4.5 acres of land located north of Thomas Road and west of Val Vista Drive. I declare the public hearing open. Ms. Mickelson, has anyone requested to speak on this item?
No request, Mayor.
Thank you. Council members, anything you'd like to say about this item? Hearing none, I declare the public hearing closed. The next item is items 12B and C. These are two ordinances for introduction. We will do this in a mini consent agenda, so as long as no council members object, and Council Member Freeman will not be voting. Item 12B is the annexation ordinance that we just had on the hearing on items 12C, and item 12C is the rezoning ordinance, which is 18-00214 for the property located on the north side of Thomas Road and west of Val Vista. It's being rezoned from Ag to RS-43 and RM2 PAD. So this is the introduction of these ordinances. These ordinances will be back on our agenda next Monday night on our August 26th agenda. So council, do we have a motion to approve these items? I guess we have two different votes. Is that the best way to do this, Mr. Smith?
Mayor, council, you can handle like a mini consent and just
Okay.
handle both at once. So you're voting on the introduction on 12B and 12C, if you like.
Okay.
Unless any
So the
council
public
member
hearing has been
objects.
concluded, and we will consider agenda items 12B and C together. There's a motion been made by Mr. Thompson, seconded by by Councilmember Duff. Please cast your vote. Thank you. It is 6 in favor with Mr. Freeman recused for a conflict of interest. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is items from citizens present. Ms. Mickelson, do you have any additional? I have one card. Do you have any others? Okay. Thank you. We invite Mr. Verl Farnsworth forward. Mr. Farnsworth, as you know, you have 3 minutes. There's a clock on the wall that will be keeping track of your time, I think. It hasn't come up yet. Maybe there's not a clock on the wall. But as is our tradition, at 3 minutes, your microphone will turn off. Maybe before you begin, let's just clarify whether or not we have a clock for you or not.
I don't need 3 minutes tonight, Mayor.
Okay, well, you've got them.
I hope that now that the summer break is over, that all of us can get back to work. Some of you may not know what a FOIA request is, so I thought I would clarify that question. A FOIA request is a Freedom of Information request where the citizens of any government locality, such as a city, county, state, or federal, can request documents and information that are the works of those elected to serve the people, to which the citizens can get and read and use to make sure of what happens and what is happening. I have made several FOIA requests for public information, and I've only received a very small portion of the information requested that as a citizen of Mesa that I am entitled to. So I'm here to remind the mayor, and council, and staff that I expect that now that your summer vacation is over, I expect that my requests will be honored and the information requested turned over to me in a timely manner, because all of my requests are over 90 days old. I want to remind the mayor that he directed the Mesa City staff to be open and transparent in all of the business of the city to the utmost of transparency. I intend to hold you to the promise of transparency. With a staff of 85 plus employees, Mr. Smith's office surely has the resources to process my requests and any others made by the citizens of this city in a timely manner. If not, then changes need to be made. I don't have to give notice, but consider this my goodwill notice that if such documents are not received in the very near future, I will file the appropriate action to obtain those through deposition. I close with a quote from Thomas Jefferson. He who permits himself to tell a lie once finds it much easier to do it a second and a third time, till at length it becomes habitual. He tells lies without attending to it, and truths without the world believing him. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, that concludes the business on our agenda today. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting? Thank you, Mr. Luna and Mr. Thompson. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.